Welcome into another edition of Celtics Roundtable, everybody. Evan Valenti back here on CLNS Media. CLNS Media, the leading online provider of audio-video coverage of the Boston Celtics. Alongside Sam Sheehan, we're joined by Jared Weiss. What's up, Jared?
This year, I think it might actually come up a little bit, but yeah, I think right now Max projected at around 30.9 for Isaiah.
Yeah.
So you know that's
so
about
he's averaging at about 33 or so, basically over.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Over the deal, he would command the full 7.5 raises. So, you know, it would be more than like Horford and Gordon are getting, because those guys are only getting 4.5 raises.
And those are getting 4 years. If you give you give it Isaiah, you give him the 3-year deal, then you're kind of lining up all those contracts to be exiting at about the same time. It comes like kind of right after they'd be re-upping on Jalen, right when they're doing it on Tatum. It kind of all lines up everything for kind of they're able to walk away from one of these older guys to kind of make space for the younger guys. Of course, I mean, it depends on how much you're paying Anthony Davis at the time when they trade for him, which I caught so much for so long, and now all of a sudden maybe people are starting to see why I was saying it for a while, because I've been hearing about this for a while and trying to make it clear to people that it's very much a possibility. And now Woj is getting on that train. I know obviously Woj gets all of his info from me. This is something we all know very well.
He gets it all from Shams. What are you talking about? He gets everything he gets from Shams. I'm convinced of that at this point.
Oh, Jared, I've known it was from Jared this whole time.
Yeah, but that's because Sam's my one super fan that follows everything. Him and whatever the orangutan Twitter handle is right now.
That's shout out to Copperdome.
Copperdome. But did he change his Twitter handle? Whatever it is. Well, between those guys and Danger Guard, those are like my 3 favorite people on Twitter I've been interacting with since before I was even a reporter, or I guess on Reddit before I was even a reporter, really. But which I'm all glad that you guys are finally doing this semi-legitimately, at least, because I've always loved your work.
I'm here now. I'm getting yelled at the comments, being called Macaulay Culkin, who's not on drugs. So I made it. Baby.
No, less on drugs.
Less on drugs.
You're still on drugs, just not nearly as many as Macaulay Culkin was.
I mean, that mustache is looking pretty white on the webcam right now. But the Anthony Davis thing, I think I made a joke to the SB Nation Pelicans Twitter today, and I think they took it very personally, but I hope they knew I was joking, because I write for Celtics blog. I'm not an actual fan, but they did this whole thing on like, here's the timeline of how Anthony Davis ended up leaving the Pelicans. It was like a 13-step thing that took multiple years. So, and then I brought up, well, what if it all falls apart really quickly, and then all of a sudden Anthony Davis wants to get traded? Because most of the tea leaf reading over the last year has basically been Anthony Davis was ready to GTFO on, I'm not going to go too hard on the cursing here, on New Orleans. Dell Demps has been around forever. He's been making generally shortcut moves, trying to quickly build around Anthony Davis. It failed, and they had to start all over again. They made a really good trade to get DeMarcus Cousins. That was a great trade, even if we're no longer killing Sacramento because Buddy Hield looks solid. That was an amazing trade to get a star player that you have control of for 2 years. So that was a great trade. The signing Rondo I really like, because they're pretty confident that Rondo is one of the few people in the world that can actually try to control DeMarcus Cousins. But if it falls apart with those guys, and it's very possible it could, if they are not good and they're getting their butts kicked in a very, very competitive Western Conference, then the floodgates kind of open on New Orleans, especially if I think it's DeMarcus is like the factor here that can really blow things up. DeMarcus starts getting really pouty, he starts getting aggressive, he starts being hostile in the locker room, which was an issue that he was dealing with in Sacramento. And although I, among many other people, have criticized him for it, he definitely was right on a lot of it. He just, in general, has carried himself very poorly. But that could all basically signal to Anthony Davis, you're in a situation where there's no end in sight. It's been too many years at this point. It's time to move on. Time to tell Dell Demps or whoever replaces Dell Demps when they fire him, I want out. I'm going to do it quietly. Go get some huge draft picks from Boston or wherever it is, but let's make it happen. But so like that trade could never really happen in a normal, somewhat plausible NBA, but we're in the darkest timeline right now. You know, the Warriors have 4 Hall of Famers. The Celtics have enough draft picks to draft the new Warriors that they want. if I'm New Orleans and I'm making a trade with the Celtics, I would take, there's this whole thing about like how a draft pick's like a used car, but some used cars, no, there's no good analogy there. Some used cars turn out to be Ferraris when you thought you were buying a Accord. I don't know, but the point is,
well, they do appreciate in value depending on the car.
Exactly. This is they have like a 1920 Morgan on their hands here.
You got a 1969 Shelby GT 500.
I actually literally just saw that car yesterday driving in Cape Cod. I don't know what year it was, but it was that car, and it looked amazing, and I would pay way more money than what I pay for a Honda Accord.
I spent 12 hours on a bus today, so we're all talking.
Or prototype, whatever. So the point is with Anthony Davis, like they can throw the Nets pick and the Laker pick and Tatum or Jaylen Brown, and I would say, yeah, good job, go for it, because there's not like Anthony Davis like right now is one of maybe 3 people in basketball that it's worth giving up like that ridiculously stupid amount of assets for. But he's like, one of the 5 or 6 best players. He's only 25 right now. Is that right? Is he 24?
26,
25?
I think.
He's 26. Oh, he's old. Forget it.
Yeah.
He's 26, and he's like clear. Like if they add him onto this roster and they don't give up any of their core pieces, they're probably like dead. They're just about dead even with Golden State if they do that. I mean, Golden State, I don't think there's anyone you could acquire in the NBA right now that could make you even with Golden State, because they have like the 2 best scorers in the NBA probably, and then like the best defender in the NBA and the best shooter probably ever. So like they're pretty good, but you put Anthony Davis on the core of this team, and it's like that's the team that's going to take Golden State all the way. And a ball could bounce their way as we've seen, or a ball can get punched as we've seen, or kicked, I should say. But it's like it's worth it. You go all in on that, and you roll that out as long as you can. You pay the $500 million in luxury tax if you have to, which is, I guess that's a main topic. I was supposed to be addressing Isaiah Thomas, I think.
I was going to ask, like, where does this fit in with Isaiah?
I'm going to be my own host and go for it.
Yeah, real quick, I want to fact check real quick. We said 26. He's 24. He turned 24 in March.
Wow.
Okay, good. That's what I figured, but okay, good.
HelloFresh is the meal kit delivery service that makes cooking more fun, so you can focus on the whole experience, not just the final plate each week. HelloFresh creates new, delicious recipes with step-by-step instructions designed to take around 30 minutes so that anybody from novices to seasoned home cooks short on time they can make tasty meals. HelloFresh sources the freshest ingredients measured to the exact quantities needed, so there's no food waste, and they employ 2 full-time registered dietitians on staff who review each recipe to ensure it is nutritionally balanced. They deliver your food into your doorstep, in a recyclable, insulated box for free, and they're now offering light summer meals and have introduced breakfast. Listeners of this show and CLNS Media get a very special offer. Use the promo code BEAT30 for $30 off your first week of HelloFresh. Go to HelloFresh.com. Use the promo code BEAT30. Now, early reports on Jayson Tatum very high. Seems like a lot of people are impressed with Sam Sheehan's favorite son right now, and respected women respected.
Hold on, we got to get this straight. He's not my son. He's my dad.
He's
my young father. He went, and he is now he's now my father. Like he went into summer.
Does he know this or no?
No. He signed the guardianship papers. He's actually grounded me. This is why I kind of have to keep it down. You notice I'm in a dark room.
You're in a lair right now.
Grounded. No. Jayson Tatum, he's gonna come. He's teaching me how to go to Meals on Wheels. He's signing me up for charities. He thinks I'm working on my stuff. He's been a great father to me. He's my young father. I'm his old son. I'm 8 years older than him, but it's working out great. It's good to have a father figure like Jayson, setting a good example for me. So,
all right, well, now that we're all the same age and we both have children and fathers, I think it's good that we're all on the same page here.
Right. Thoughts from Tatum, from anybody you talk to about Summer League?
I mean, I hope he teaches you that footwork, because that footwork's just beautiful. And
footwork doctor, man.
On a semi-serious note, I think that a lot of the stuff that looks good and is exciting now is stuff that I would be a little tempered in my expectations about. For one, all the crazy shots that he was getting off, generally he was getting them off against guys that just aren't going to be as effective defending the post when he gets to the NBA level. He'll still be able to get that shot off over a lot of guys. I think he'll be using it more when they're putting him in a bigger wing lineup where he's getting guarded by guys that are 3 or 4 inches shorter than him. But if you put him up against another 6'9" athletic guy, he's probably going to get pushed off the spot. He's going to feel contact when he's going up for the shot. He's not going to be hitting it as well. On the other hand, some of those shots that he was hitting were like insane shots. Like not just like I'm in rhythm and I get my like flat step back. It was like rainbows and stuff that shows he has an unbelievable natural touch. He's not going to be. I don't think he's going to be a good 3-point shooter his rookie year. I don't know how many spot up looks he's going to get. He'll probably get some, considering the lineups and the system they're going to have and just the unreal talent they're going to have on the perimeter. But he has this issue with his shooting mechanics. I'll do this for all the people watching on video, where he brings the ball up here and then brings it all the way back here, gets that elbow out, and then flings it forward. And what that does is it reverses your momentum. So you're basically building momentum as you bring the ball up. Then you fling it back, which actually kind of puts the energy moving the wrong direction, and you're fighting against yourself. So we call it energy transfer. And that's something he's going to have to fix. You'll see Jaylen Brown has done it. Kawhi Leonard is kind of the like ultimate example of someone who did it with this legendary shooting coach, Chip England in San Antonio, where guys, when they get to the NBA, when they're young, they're taught to like put it in front of your ear. And that's what my dad told me when I was a kid. I think that's what a lot of these guys learn. And they feel like they need the extra movement so that they can fling it more, because they think they need the arm strength. But shooting isn't about arm strength. It's about core and leg strength. So they're going to teach him to keep the ball out ahead of him a little bit more. And that's when he's going to start getting really good. And I could see him being an absolutely unstoppable knockdown shooter, kind of the way that Paul Pierce was. You know, the Paul Pierce comparisons are actually pretty good comparisons. People think, oh, it's ridiculous to say that. It's not ridiculous to say that. No, he is not as good as Paul Pierce right now was in his prime. That's not how comparisons work with rookies. But he has a template to be that kind of player, or a Paul George kind of player. Everything I saw at Vegas pretty much confirmed that. I think I wasn't like jumping for joy over him compared to the way the other analysts were, because I think he pretty much did everything I expected him to. I think it's just his mid-post game was more, I think his touch was more ready than I had expected coming into it. But the way that he attacks the rim was pretty much what I expected. He doesn't know how to play defense yet, but you can like see that he's going to be able to figure it out. And he has the physical ability to recover and make up for some mistakes on defense. I think he's going to be really good at some point. Right away, I'm pretty tempered in my expectations. But, you know, Jaylen Brown came in super raw, more raw than Tatum is now. I've seen people say that they think that Tatum's a better player already. I disagree with that. I think Jaylen, you'll see when Tatum has to start
when he's not playing point guard.
Yeah, you're gonna see like when Tatum has to start playing defense in the NBA and is playing against NBA defenders, he's not gonna look nearly as good as Jaylen Brown is gonna look. I think Jaylen's gonna probably start this year, and he's probably gonna be pretty solid.
Anything else from Summerlee that stood out to you before we wrap this one up?
Yeah, it was funny. I was gonna do a Demetrius Jackson thing a couple days ago, but then I found out he was getting cut, so that's kind of worthless at this point. Zizic, I covered. I think I did a few articles on it. I can't remember how much I covered it, but I talked to Walter McCarty about Ante. Kind of went through all the challenges he's going through. I think Ante has kind of talked about it publicly enough to kind of give everybody a clear picture of it. But you know, he needs to lose weight. It's pretty obvious when you watch him out there. He's super sluggish, and I speculated that it was that he was just coming off of the European season, which ended, I think, like a week or two into June.
He just looked exhausted.
Yeah, he looks exhausted, but I think he needs to lose weight, because it's not just that he's tired. It's that he doesn't quite have much bounce to him, and people will think 7-foot brute. Why don't you know who needs bounce? But like, look at like what's happening with Jonas Valanciunas right now, where Toronto has been trying to trade him, and Sean Devaney of the Sporting News is reporting that they can't get anybody to take him off their hands because everyone can see that he's out of shape and he's not quite explosive enough, and he's not quite energetic enough for him to be considered a really useful center. And I think they're going to show that to Ante Zizic, and they're going to be like, this is why you got to trim down. This is, I think, what do you call it? Someone had mentioned something with the team or something like that about looking at Perk as like an example of a guy that came in with like a lot of baby fat on him, and he worked his way into like a chiseled machine. And then Perk finally became like a good defender when he lost about 25 pounds or so, and he just became pure rock, and he just had enough bounce with a ton of power to be able to kind of keep up with guys. And nowadays, if you're going to be a starting center in the NBA, you have to be able to guard above the 3-point line. You have to be able to do it. You got to be able to deal with point guards before you switch off, or when you're doing zoning up on a pick and roll. He's got to be able to do that, and it's not about banging down low as much as being versatile, especially on a team like the Celtics. So yeah, I think they're going to cut down 10 pounds off of him before the preseason in October, and he's going to be moving a lot better. He needs to stop playing so many basketball games and just be in the gym and work in the gym. So, but he's got a lot of the skills that he needs to be an effective player. I think he'll look a lot better come preseason. I'm not sure yet whether he'll actually be a useful rotation player this year, but it definitely looks like he will be down the line. He's got good enough defensive instincts, good enough passing instincts that he's going to be a pretty versatile big man. Could be, I hate doing Euro comparisons, but he reminds me a lot of Yusuf Nurkic, which actually is not a diss, it's a compliment, because people saw how good he can be once he started playing again in Portland. He didn't want to be in Denver. That's why he sucked for a while. He basically played his way out of town on purpose. Got to Denver and started kicking ass in Denver. I think that's the guy that they're hoping Ante can turn into.
Yeah. So that's going to wrap it up for this edition of Celtics Roundtable with Jared Weiss, with Sam Sheehan. I'm Evan Valenti. Make sure if you guys are watching us on YouTube, hit the like button and subscribe to CLNS Media. If you listen to us on the go on your whatever smartphone you use, whether it's your iPhone or Android, make sure you subscribe to the Boston Celtics news feed. You can do that via iTunes, via Stitcher. You can do that by downloading the CLNS Radio mobile app for free. If you're following us on Twitter, or if you're not following us on Twitter, make sure you follow us on Twitter at CLNS Roundtable. Just hanging on. We'll be back with more Celtics Roundtable in the near future. For Sam Sheehan, for Jared Weiss, I'm Evan Valenti. I'll see you guys next time on Celtics Roundtable on CLNS Media.